3, 2, 1. Welcome to this week's episode of Tools and Stuff Reviews on the Road. So, I am in a very small B&B at the moment, down in, I don't know where, but we're near Mystery Creek, and that's where they have field days. And at these field days, the field days is the largest agricultural something or other eventy thing in the Southern Hemisphere. And it was very big. You had to walk a long way from the car park. It took us 40 minutes to do the last 5 kilometers of the journey. Like if you've got a cow, it's the place to go. You know, if you need something for your cow, then that's where you go. I learned a lot. I was so out of my depth. I've never seen so many cow and sheep related things in my life, but not actually cows. There was no cows there or sheep, so that was a bit disappointing. Anyway, as you can see, I have a new purchase here. It is the Makita XGT, what's the number? It's the MR002G radio. And as well as that, I got a free shirt and a free 18 volt 3 amp hour battery. Yes, I know, a 3 amp hour 18 volt battery with a 40 volt radio. Anyway, it would still work on this radio, of course. And if you were on the 40 volt system, you probably would have the charger for the 18 volt with the adapter that comes with the charger most of the time. So even if you didn't have 18 volt tools, you still could run this off the 18 volt battery. But yeah, it is a bit weird. Anyway, I'm not going to do the full review here because I haven't got the batteries, like I say. I have had it plugged in. I did play Bluetooth through it last night. Yeah, anyway, when we're back at home, I'll show you the rest of it. Right about now. I forgot to take my camera into field days, so here's the next day at Raglan. We're going to go hang 10 with the surf dudes. G'day guys, today we are looking at the MR002G from Makita. It is a radio, as you can see. It is 40 volt max. It is XGT. As you can see on the outside of the box here, we've got Bluetooth, we've got AM and FM radio, we have 2 large 89mm speakers, it is IP65 rated. Runtime, you can get up to 27.5 hours, that's on the radio setting, not the Bluetooth by the way, on a 4 amp hour 40 volt battery. But the radio also runs on 18 volt, 12 volt and power, 12 volt max being 10.8 volt in Europe. Straight out of the box, you can see it looks very similar to the 18 volt LXT radios. And it also takes 18 volt LXT batteries, which is handy because I got a freebie with the tool, which was not a 40 volt battery, it was a 3 amp hour 18 volt battery. I also got a free Makita XGT t-shirt, and I've got a number of Makita t-shirts, and this is the first one that's not black. It's a sort of grey, almost black, but a grey motley sort of colour. Before I go any further, Makita did not give this to me. They never give me anything. So, it's not a shill video. We'll have a quick look at the battery area and then I will test it out and I will come back to you when I have played with it a bit more. As you can see, got a battery in there. I had it going last night. Gets pretty loud, but I'd like it to be a little bit louder. But also, looking at this space here that the battery goes in, I think it's going to be a bit tricky to put a 5 amp hour in there. That new 5 amp hour battery, I don't think she's going to fit. When it's hot or I've been working the batteries hard, I like to keep them in a Makita fridge to keep them cool. I'll grab the 5 amp hour out here. Is this going to fit? Oh, let's take a wee look-see. Okay. So far so good. It does fit on where the battery terminal is obviously, but it clearly is sticking above the top of the door here, so not gonna work. So you won't be running it on your 5 amp hour unless you want to leave the door open and let it fill up with dust and shit. So that's a bit disappointing, but it is good because I can put my 4 amp hour batteries in there, which I don't like all that much. So I'll use this for when I'm using grinder, big heavy stuff, rotary hammers, that sort of thing. And I'll use the 2s and the 2.5s for my drills, impact drivers, the small handheld stuff. And I can use the 4 amp hours in the radio and get a good amount of runtime. So looking in the back here, you've got the 40 volt batteries up the top here, the XGT, you've got the LXT 18 volts on the side there, and the 12 volt or 10.8 volt on this side. You also have a little area here for a couple of AA batteries. Those are for keeping your time on the radio and your preset channels on the stations. It is IP65 rated, which means it's sort of rainproof and dust proof to a certain extent. Don't go submerging it in a bucket of water or anything though. It is solid. It feels tough and solid. It has huge big rubber bumper things on the corners. It is a tough feeling beast. The handle also doubles as the antenna for the radio. You can see it's got beefy screws, big beefy hexy set screw things all over it. Even the little flap for the power cord has a hoary grade screw in it. I don't know where the CD player is, I haven't found that bit of it yet, and I'm not sure if this one comes with a tape deck. It does come with a USB port on the front down the bottom here, so you can charge your phone, and an auxiliary in here so you can plug in another sound source if you ain't got the Bluetooth function. And of course it does have Bluetooth. Now Makita have released in Japan, I do believe, a radio that does also charge batteries, which lots of people ask for all the time. Personally, I don't care. I'm not going to charge the batteries on my radio. I've got plenty of chargers. I don't care about charging them on other devices. And I would almost exclusively use this as a battery tool. I wouldn't have it plugged in anyway, because that's the way I roll, baby. Nice solid clip there holding the back shut. You can see we've got a silicon type gasket here on the back that helps to keep the water out of your battery area. Can't balance it on 45 degrees unfortunately, like the new 18 volt one. Now I think they have released 4 different radios so far. Every region of the world is going to have different options available to them. So this is the O2, like I said. There's also the O1, the O3, the O4. And I think they may have or are about to release the small Bluetooth speaker only style ones that don't have a radio. When it comes to runtime, a 12 volt 2 amp hour battery will give you the same runtime as an 18 volt 2 amp hour battery, which is interesting. And that is 9 hours. I'll give you all the numbers in the Bluetooth settings, and then for the radio just add half an hour to an hour and a half. When it comes to the 40 volt 2 amp hour, you'll get 13 hours. Then when we take a look at the 4 amp hour batteries, the 12 volt will last 18.5 hours, whereas an 18 volt will only last 17 hours. And a Makita 40 volt 4 amp hour will do the same as a 18 volt 6 amp hour. Both of those 26 hours, even though this is technically bigger than this battery. I mean, this is 8 amp hours if you converted it to 18 volt, so you should get like 25% more, right? But doesn't seem to work that way. Also, why is the 12 volt better on the 4 amp hour batteries than the 18 volt, but exactly the same on the 2 amp hours? And one of the 2.5 amp hour 40 volts will give you 16 hours on Bluetooth, so that's pretty good. I mean, that's a couple of days. I was hoping that the 5 amp hour would fit in there, so that basically you could chuck that in at the beginning of the week and that'd do you the whole week. But not to be. But 26 hours on one of these will keep me pretty happy, because you don't necessarily have the radio going all damn day anyway. You mostly do, but with the likes of what I do now, chances are I'm not running it for 8 or 10 hours a day, so that would probably get me through the whole week. Now the 5 amp hour should give you 32 hours of Bluetooth. That's if you want it running with the back open. So perhaps the F that we were wondering about from the video about this battery, BL4050F, none of the other ones have F. Maybe the F actually stands for fucking doesn't fit. But I think what I might do is run it mostly on these 2 amp hour 12 volt batteries, because I've got a whole lot of them. I don't use them all that much, and one of those will give me 9 hours, so that's one of those a day, and nice and light. Easy to keep a few of those kicking around and just swap one out each day, no worries. So in summary, a 12 volt 2 amp hour will give you 9 hours, a 4 amp hour will give you 18.5, an 18 volt 1.5 amp hour will give you 6 hours. That's strange because the 12 volt will give you 7 in the 1.5. An 18 volt 2 amp hour will give you 9 hours, a 3 will give you 12, a 5 will give you 22, and a 6 will give you 26. a 2 amp hour 40 volt max will give you 13 hours, 16 hours, 26 hours, 32 hours. Now it doesn't say in the manual anything about how long it will last battery wise when it's just on standby like it is at the moment. Actually it's running at the moment, let's turn it off. So that's off. There's the 40 volt 4 amp hour battery in there at the moment. As you see, it keeps the date and time sitting on the front there. How much battery does that use? I don't know. I had this 12 volt 2 amp hour battery sitting on this the last 2 days overnight with the battery in, just with the time going on it. And I also fiddled around, played a few tracks. It's probably played about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of music on it and sat 2 nights not running, and it's still showing 4 bars. So that's quite good. Now what happens if I take the battery out while we are just sitting here? Will the time vanish? Let's have a look here. Or will the battery backup that's inside kick in? I have put in 2 AA batteries, and as you can see, look at that. So, power fail. Power fail. So it's now telling you it's not running on battery or AC, it is just running on the 2 little poxy AA batteries, keeping the time going there. So I don't know if it's designed to always sort of have battery or power running in it. I don't know how long these AA batteries will last just on the clock there. It is probably the sort of thing where I'll always have a battery pretty much sitting in it because the batteries are going to last so long. It'll be one of those annoying tools that the battery's in and you're going, what did I do with my other 4 amp hour 40 volt battery? And you forget that it's stuck in the back of your radio. Okay, the power fail has stopped flashing there now. That's interesting. So it just lets you know it's cut out, and it's got a little symbol up in the corner there, battery with a line through it. See what happens when we hook the battery back on. Boom, lights up. We've now lost the battery symbol there. We're back in action. Right, I'm now going to go and use the thing and see how it goes, learn how the settings work, all that sort of stuff, and I'll come back and we will wrap this up and I'll give you my review of what I think it's like. And it came with a pair of AA batteries for the backup, and of course the AC power adapter. Having a fridge on the bench that you video on is not the greatest idea. It's a little bit noisy. So let's see if I can remember all the features to show you on this thing. As you can see, time and date. Now the time and date is pretty cool. You can set it manually or you can set it with RDS, which is Radio Data System, which basically means you turn on the radio, you stick it on an FM channel that has RDS, and it will put the date and time magically onto the screen. So if you haven't got backup batteries in there, it will still always find the time for you, so that's quite good. But if you don't have the backup batteries, you will lose the presets in these buttons for your radio stations, which can be annoying, having to stick it on the channel every single time. Anyway, let's turn it on. So she's on. It's in Bluetooth mode at the moment. That's how long it took to pair. Did you see that? That was pretty quick. My phone's sitting nearby in Bluetooth. Takes a few seconds and bang, she's connected. This button here, source, changes between Bluetooth, FM radio, AM radio, and Bluetooth. Again, pairing, that's how long it takes. When you have it in Bluetooth mode, the number 3 button here becomes play button. So you push that and we'll have to stop it because else I'll get done for copyright. It's really annoying trying to test a radio on a YouTube channel because A, it's never going to sound right because it's coming through the speakers on your crappy little phone that you're watching it on. And B, copyright infringement. I can't play any decent songs because I'll get done for copyright infringement. You also have skip back and forward here. Skip to the next track. Who knows what that'll be. There you go. So once again I have to stop it any more than a few seconds and I'll be in trouble. Now up the top here we also have 2 alarms. We have a radio alarm and we have a buzzer alarm, which they call HWS, which stands for Humane Waking System. Humane? I'll set it and let you be the judge on how humane it is. So to set it, push your finger on it, hold it on there, it'll flash like so. Time wise, what is the time now? I didn't see what it was, 9 something. It's 9:58, so we'll quickly try and set this onto 9:59. And then you can check it for daily or a certain day or whatever, but there we go, we've got it set there now. We'll turn that off and we'll see what happens. We don't have to wait too long. There we go. So it starts off with that single beep, starts off loudish, gets quieter, and then ramps back up again. Starts double time, getting louder and louder. Now this is humane, because God only knows all the other radio alarms are just inhumane, evil bastards. For some reason this one's humane. Pretty loud now, and quite frantic. Just keeps adding another layer. It kind of sounds like an engaged phone. Okay, and it goes for 1 minute. Still flashing there, so I'm guessing it's going to go off again. But we won't keep frigging around with that. So to cancel an alarm, if you've got it set, see we've got the alarm set symbol up the top here. You just hold your finger on it, and there we go, it disappears. Lots of these buttons have double duty depending on how long you hold your finger on the button. The Bluetooth pair button is down here. If you are having trouble pairing it, push that, find it on your phone, you know how to do it. This is the sleep alarm. So you hold your finger on it, it cycles through 60, 45, 30, 15, 120 and 90 minutes. To cancel it, bang, off. Now the dial down here is both the volume song, better get rid of that. So pretty loud, as you heard then. I didn't think it was that loud to begin with. I took it upstairs and I had it in the kitchen, in the lounge. Didn't really think it was that good, wasn't that impressed, but it seems to be getting louder on me. I don't know what it is, but down here in the garage it certainly seems pretty damn loud, and when you take it outside in a quiet area it booms for quite a way. But it could be a little bit louder. It does have a loudness feature. It's also supposedly, when you charge your phone, which we'll get to in a moment, it's meant to be quieter because it's putting some energy into charging the phone and it doesn't want too much disturbance while charging the phone, and so it supposedly doesn't run as loud. But I plugged it in and out, couldn't tell any difference personally, and also potentially difference in loudness between 2 amp hour 12 volt battery for instance and a 40 volt battery, but once again not a lot, I couldn't tell much. So your dial down here does a lot of the work, so volume and also scanning of the radio station. So if you just turn it, it's the volume. If you want to scan for a radio station, let's put this on setting 4. There's no station there, so I'm gonna set a station. So if you push down, the FM flashes. I can now dial through and set this to whatever station I desire. If you don't want to dial it through like such, you can just hold your finger on it and then it will start going up automatically. It'll just scan through until it finds a station. It'll give you a few seconds to make up your mind. If you don't, it'll skip to the next one. When you find the one you want, just tap that again and it stays on that station. Then if you want to set it into one of these memory buttons, you just push the button, hold your finger on it, it'll make that little beep sound, and it now says P4 there, program 4, and so then you can just cycle through and you've got all these different stations all stuck on those different presets. Very easy. Next to that dial you have an info/menu button. So while on FM, if you push this info menu button, it just cycles through information about that station and the time and date. If you hold your finger on it, you'll get all the other things you can adjust. Clock, date, RDS, FM, auto or mono. That's if it's not connecting too well, it's not running on stereo too well and you get that crackling sound, which I'm getting at the moment down here. Timed out. You can set it so that it just stays on mono so you don't get that trying to connect to stereo annoyance. Loud on and off you got there, and then you've got snooze timer, which you can do in 5-minute intervals, and then you can set whether it's 24-hour clock or not, and back to the beginning, clock adjust, date, blah 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 blah. Goes through those. You want to get out of it, just tap it again or let it time out. Down the bottom, auxiliary in. It won't pop up on the source button until you actually plug something in there. Once you plug something in there, it'll pop up automatically, and that way you can run a CD player or a tape deck or something in it if you really wanted. And on the left hand side here we have a 2.4 amp hour 5 volt USB charger for your phone. All it is a phone charger. You can't put a USB in there with music on and play it. It'll charge phones, iPads, that sort of thing. 2.4 amp, that's pretty good for charging bigger devices. Now it says the Bluetooth is best around the 10 meter mark, but It can go up to 30 meters if you're lucky. If there's no buildings in the way, walls, other disturbances from other Bluetooth equipment, electronic equipment, that sort of thing. So we'll just go quickly test that, but like I say, it's a bit tricky with the music, so I'll see if I can find something on YouTube that we can get away with playing that's not gonna trip the copyright system on YouTube. Right, so I have a song here playing on my phone right now. I'm gonna turn this on. We're gonna walk 20 meters backwards because that's as far as I can walk in a straight line without anything getting in the way at the moment. So let's turn it on, see it pair up. It's now paired. We now have the sound coming through the speaker. I'm going to walk with the speaker. 20 meters away, no problem. So like I say, testing the quality on a YouTube video, pretty hard for it to come through, but we'll give it a crack. So I think I've gone over pretty much everything. It weighs 4.3 kgs, that's where you plug in the AC. Runs on the 12, the 18 and the 40 volt batteries, only the slide batteries, none of the old pod style, cartridge style, stick style batteries. The Bluetooth range, which is something that I really get annoyed with some things, is the best of any Bluetooth radio I have tried, or speaker, so I am happy with that. That is good. The speaker quality, it distorts a little bit when you get it cranked right up. In the manual they say crank this up but have your phone set on about 3/4 volume, which is where you get about the best sound. If you have both your phone and this cranked up, you can get a bit of distortion, so that's not great. The radio stereo antenna area, maybe that could be a bit better for picking up the radio stations. Personally, I'm most likely to use it for Bluetooth, so that doesn't worry me too much. Yeah, so overall, that is the MR002G, the new Makita XGT 40 volt radio, and 18 volt and 12 volt, 10.8 volt, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for watching, guys. More Makita stuff coming up soon, as per usual. And I'm going to review some of these. Look at the size of that. Woohoo! Anyway, I'll see you again real soon. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe down below. Heaps of Makita reviews, heaps of reviews from other tool brands. Check them all out. I'm not going to keep those signs in the background. I think that's a bit naffy. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. A little bit disappointed we couldn't get that to go in it. Oh well. It's just like a pile of grass.